Good morning, Kitchen Witches. Today is Sunday, May 31st, and this is your tarot and menu planning inspiration for the day. I'm Chef Lisa, editor-in-chief of A Chef's Grimoire magazine, and the way we do this is we're going to pull a card, which is going to give us the tones of the day, what to look out for, what to be aware of. And then we're going to bring that card into the kitchen to help us plan our menu for the day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So let's get started. What is the card for Sunday, May 31st? It's a relaxing day. Maybe we have a little extra time in the kitchen today, what we don't usually during the week. What card is going to help us menu plan? Ready? The Star. A major arcana. The Star. It's all about renewed hope. For a future, right? It's all about just looking to the stars, saying, I've done everything that I can, and now I'm putting my faith into a higher plane. So this is a deep meaning card to many. The Star comes directly after the Tower, which is crumbling everything to the ground. And, you know, when you look across, say, you're, on a road trip and you see forests that have just been burnt to the ground. I mean, they do that conservationally, but if it's happened, not because they want it to, it's devastating, of course, and for those that lose a lot of their personal belongings due to fire, thank goodness, hopefully not their lives, but materials, yes? So, but you look across the ash and there's always a little sprout of something else growing underground, under all of that debris. And that's always the hope for the future, right? It's the renewal of the future. And that's what the Star does. It brings us into more of a spiritual understanding that the cycle of life will go on. So pretty heavy card as far as, meaning, but bright and airy, and it's opening a window to something that no longer suits us, right? A tower moment happens because it's built on a rocky foundation and it's going to fall eventually. And when it does, it means that there's a void, and that void needs to be filled by something. So what? What is it going to be? Is it going to be the same old, or are you going to have a different outlook and grow something that's going to benefit you versus something that's fast, furious, and, will eventually fall again in the future? Build something more sustainable. So what are we looking out for today? We're looking out for anything that's on rocky foundation, anything that we know eventually won't be there any longer, but we're just continually feeding it. So, that's big. That's major tarot. So, and it is a major arcana that we're dealing with. But it's these things we need to look at. We need to face them head on. So what is that in your life, right? Today is Sunday. It's a great day to just contemplate. Maybe if you can, take a moment for yourself. Go for a walk in the woods or just down the street, and think about these things. Look at the trees, look at the birds, look at the sky. Know that there's something else out there that can replace the thing that you can dismantle early before it eventually just hits the ground and you're devastated because of it. So that's what to look out for today. It's pretty big tear up. So now let's bring the star into the kitchen. And I'm thinking, whenever something is taken away, right, as we talked about just now, there's a void and you want to fill that void. So my thoughts when you go to the kitchen, say your refrigerator is empty because you just had a party and it was stacked full like a wall of food not hours earlier. And then that was all prepared, that was all served, it's all now given away, leftovers, or the leftovers in the freezer. The fridge is basically empty. So what do? You go grocery shopping, you refuel your fridge. So this might be an opportunity to say, well, maybe I want to change my diet. Maybe I've just been diagnosed with something that causes, that I know food can repair. So let me start to eat better. So when you go to the grocery store, you're going to buy the things that you want to fill your fridge with that are going to help you get better, or lose weight, or gain weight. You know, whatever your condition is, whatever you want to do, this is the time to do it. And Sunday is a great time to grocery shop, right? Because all the sales are on still, and you know, it's a little crowded, but most people do their big full cart, either Costco run or grocery store today. Yeah. So anyway, star, make the change today of what's going to be refueled into your refrigerator. The other thing that I'm going to suggest is that why not learn a new skill in the kitchen, right? Maybe all the other things that you've been doing haven't been working for whatever reason, right? Either you're running through it too hastily, maybe you're not setting yourself up for success, maybe, there's a whole host of reasons, but we're going to change that. So today I'm thinking, why don't we learn a new skill in the kitchen? And we have time to do it. It's Sunday, so we have ample time to do this. For breakfast, if you don't already have one, I suggest to purchase one. If you're looking at this video today and don't have one, then maybe you, when you go grocery shopping, you could pick one up because they do sell them in the grocery store. And what I'm talking about is a food scale. A food scale. I'll show you what one looks like. I have two that I use religiously. One is this one, which measures in grams and milliliters and pounds, ounces. It also is nice because if you have an extra large bowl, the little thing comes off so that you can still read it, but the bowl is taking up all of this room. You can buy them on Amazon too, dead cheap, less than $25. The other one I have is from Joseph, which I love this company. This one is great for travel if I have to, be cooking somewhere else, but it opens like this, so you could put the bowl on top of it. And this one measures in a whole bunch of different weights. It does grams, it does milliliters, it does pounds, ounces, a lot of extra things. And it's super tiny and it fits in my drawer, no problem. Food scale. So what you're going to do with it is you're going to teach yourself how to measure in grams. Yes, not pounds, ounces. So much easier, especially if you're a baker. You're going to take your food scale, you're going to set it to grams, and you're going to zero it out. And then you're going to add your bowl. And into the bowl, you're going to read your recipe, and it's going to say 280 grams of flour. You're going to scrape the flour into the bowl. No measuring cup, just scrape it into the bowl until it reads 280 grams. Put your flour aside. Now it's calling for baking powder. A teaspoon. What's that? 4 grams. So now you're going to need a teaspoon to measure it out, but just stick it in, or just take your fingers and go right on top of the flour until it's now 284 grams. Or Zero out all that flour to 0, and then just add your baking powder until it's 4 grams. So that's the best way to do it. Always 0 out after you've added something. So on and so forth, right? For the dry ingredients. Then you move the food scale to milliliters. You put a measuring cup on top, and now you're going to do your wet ingredients. You're going to do your eggs. It calls for however many grams of eggs. Do those. It calls for milk. You're going to do that. Zeroing out every single time. And easy peasy, you're building your dry and your wet ingredients. That's Jasper, by the way. And he likes to eat flowers. Yeah. You're building your dry and your wet ingredients with a food scale and grams. And it's less to wash in the end. And it's just a better device in the kitchen, more exact too. So if you make like through the gram system, the best cake you've ever made in your life, you could recreate it time and time again because it's precise. It's not just, a teacup full of flour, toss it in. You know what I mean? So yes, learn how to measure in grams. Teach yourself a new skill. And that, we're going to make a polenta cake. So go online, find yourself a polenta cake, and make that for breakfast with a beautiful cup of coffee or hot tea, herbal or black or green or whatever tea you like, with the polenta cake, and that is breakfast. Yum. For lunch, I'll put my scales away. For lunch, we're going to learn how to make a pâté brisé. I know it sounds fancy, but you know what it is? Pie crust. But we're going to do it from scratch. So bring out your food scale again, and we're going to measure out our ingredients for the pie crust. It's flour, and if you're gluten-free, you could do it with a gluten-free flour. It's water, ice water, right? So put that in the freezer while you're thinking about measuring out your flour and all your dry ingredients. It's butter, cold butter, right from the fridge. Cut it into little cubes. Salt, little salt. And if you want to make a pâté sucré or sucré, that's adding sugar. So you can add powdered sugar to the pie crust if you're going to do something sweet. But what we're making ours for is a chicken pot pie, hand pie. So you're going to take your flour, put it in the bowl, add your salt, just a pinch, right? And then you're going to take the butter and you're going to dump it into the flour with your fingers. And this is the best approach. You can use, a potato masher, you can use a food processor, but I find the best crust is going to come from your fingers, las manos, cheapest tool in the kitchen, free. So get your hands in there. You're going to be smushing the butter into the flour to make discs that are about that big in height and what's the other way across height? Width. And flat. And get all the butter cubes flattened into little discs. Then in the bowl, make a little well. If you're going to add your powdered sugar, do it now. With a pâté sucré, you're going to add also an egg. You can, yes. Now's the time to do it. Whisk the egg into that little dwell or divoted point in the flour. Whisk it up with a fork. And then you're going to add your ice water. And you're going to add as much ice water as they call for, but don't add it all at once. Add a little at a time. And while you're whisking or while you're stirring with your hands or with a fork, even if you don't add the powdered sugar or the egg, you're just going to add the ice water, minus the ice, right? Don't strain it out. Don't you put ice cubes in your... And some people also add a shot of vodka. Yeah, because vodka evaporates and causes it helps crust and make it flaky. So don't do a shot now because it's morning, but add a shot to your pate brisée, if you wish, with the water. Now, you're bringing in the flour and the butter discs into the cold water, and it's starting to form what's called a shaggy dough, right? It's going to be sticking to your hands. It's going to look just shaggy, right? Like you need to brush the dog. At that point, and when you get most of the flour incorporated to the water or the moisture, you're going to dump it out on a clean surface and start to knead, K-N-E-A-D. And kneading is not smushing, right? It's actually keeping your hands like paddles, right? And the paddles of your hands are going to bring the dough into itself, onto itself, and turn it. You're going to knead with this part of the hand, the base, push the dough mass away from you, bring it up over on itself with your paddle hands, turn it, and bring it back. And you're going to be doing that until a uniform dough forms, but there's still chunks of butter. That's important. Either take the bowl it was in, invert it over the dough mass when it comes together, right? There's no extra flour around. So it's now a dough ball, and it looks like it's a dough ball. Cover it with that bowl, or cover it with plastic, and into the refrigerator it goes for 30 minutes minimum, right? You're resting the glutens. From there, you are just going to bring it out of the fridge, and you're going to roll it out with a rolling pin to a 1/4 inch depth. And then you cut it into your pieces. You're making your filling on the stovetop, put it in, crimp it, into the oven it goes. And that all is within a recipe. So yeah, chicken pot hand pies with homemade pie crust, or pate brisée. That is a new skill. Learn it, because making your own pie crust is so superior to the store-bought. It's worth investing time into. Okay, dinner. So I'm thinking if you have an opportunity to make homemade bone broth, that's a skill that also is excellent to know. That's when you take all those rotisserie chickens where you've been throwing away the bones. Don't. Save the bones in a freezer bag and put them in your freezer for when you want to make stock. When that bag is full and all of your onion peels and garlic peels and carrot peels, what else do I throw in there? Mushroom stems are in a separate bag in your freezer. When those two are full, it's time to make stock. And what I do is I pull out my crock pot, throw my chicken bones, which have been roasted because they're from a rotisserie chicken. If they're raw, then you have to pre-roast them before you make your stock. It just makes a better stock. It makes it more delicious. I don't know what else to say. Roast your bones. So rotisserie chicken, fabulous, because everybody has a lot of the bones left, right? So stockpile them in your freezer. Now you're making stock, crock pot, dump the bones in, dump all those peels in, because all the tannins from those peels are going to turn your stock that golden color. And of course, the vegetables are going to nourish and make the stock taste better too. So crock pot, I do mine a minimum of 12 hours, right? So that's turning it on at 8 a.m. and 8 a.m. the next day, I'm straining it out. That's minimum. I sometimes let it go 24 hours. And that is when you're straining it out, the bones literally, when you're squeezing out all of the solids from the stock, the bones disintegrate and crumble, and they go into the stock, right? They form sediment at the bottom, which is a good thing, because that's, all the iron and it's healthy. It's good stuff for you. Plus all the collagen from the bones is now in the stock. You'd know you've made a good one when, after refrigerating it, it kind of gels. That's good stock, right? good for you. So you're making the stock. If not, hey, cheater way, buy a box of bone broth, which are readily available on the shelves, and you're going to add a little gelatin powder to it. That's a cheater's way. You've got your stock. Now we're going to do what's called a stracciatella soup. So that's eggs into the soup that are going to form ribbons. So you take a strainer, right? Or you can use a box grater and lay that over the hot stock. And then you're going to add beaten eggs. And you're going to pour it through the strainer, kind of like you're making spätzle, right? With a dough. But this is just eggs. And what's going to happen, it's going to fall through those holes into the broth that way, and they're going to form little ribbons that are going to be delicious in the soup. So they're just an egg dumpling in a homemade bone broth for dinner. And you can have, if you haven't had your chicken hand pie for lunch, then you can serve it with the soup for dinner. So that is our star card for the day. Oh, and also, I want to remind you, today is a blue moon. Yeah, a blue moon. Once in a blue moon, it happens today. So in the issue, my last issue of A Chef's Grimoire, I did a whole section on the blue moon. And what I paired the blue moon with was a blue moon burger. So I took those little purple potatoes, cut them, roasted them, and I served them on the side. And then regular, 80-20 ground beef with blue cheese and caramelized onions. And yeah, blue moon burger. So that's something else to consider for tonight, right? Blue moon. Go out and see the moon. It won't be blue, but it's the second lunation in the month. So that's always called a blue moon, and it rarely happens. So do something special. Toast the moon and wish on a star. As always, nourish yourself, nourish those you love with all your kitchen magic, and I will see you tomorrow.